Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. This is Umineko, When the Seagulls Cry. I like zoos and aquariums. Also museums. And reading. You know, they said I could become anything. So I became the algorithm. Every once in a while, the refreshing morning atmosphere was completely wiped out by the sound of thunder. It was only natural. Since the moment they'd woken up, they hadn't met anyone else. It felt like only they were left, as if the mansion had become an empty husk. "Hey, anyone there? Answer me," Jessica called out into the hallway, and eventually an answer came back. It came from the entrance hall. "I can hear you. Has something happened?" "It's Dr. Nanjo. Thank goodness, it looks like everyone but us hasn't disappeared from this island after all. Dr. Nanjo, good morning. Sorry, but do you know where our parents went?" "Dear me. I only just woke up and came here. You see, I have no way of knowing for sure, but let's see. It was only natural. Nanjo was a guest, just like the rest of them. He'd come just now to pass the time in the parlor until breakfast." "Ooh, Dr. Nanjo, Mama took it. Mama took my letter. Give it back. Give it back. Ooh." Maria buried her face in Nanjo's plump stomach, sobbing and crying. Nanjo could do nothing but be bewildered by this ruckus so early in the morning. "Ah, someone's running this way. Jessica, someone's coming." From down the hall, they could sense people running hurriedly. They saw Goda and Cannon coming towards them. Normally, it would be disgraceful for a servant to run inside the mansion. But how are they supposed to get cardio then? And yet Battler and the rest didn't even think to question that now. Maria's sobbing had become so unmanageable. They wanted to ask anyone, where Rosa was. But the two servants seemed to have bigger things on their minds than Jessica, who was waving at them. Goda flew into the servant room, and when Cannon noticed that Nanjo was there, he bowed and approached the doctor at a quick pace before whispering something into his ear. "What did you say?" "Rosa-san did?" "Yes. I will guide you, so please accompany me." "Understood. This way." Without saying anything more than that, Cannon finally noticed Jessica and bowed to her. But he wasn't calm. He dashed back down the corridor by which he had come, followed by Nanjo. By looking at how hurried they were, Battler and the rest realized that yes, something bad really had happened. They saw Goda through the door to the servant room, which had been flung open. He was holding the receiver and violently pressing the hook. From that, they realized that he was trying to call the hospital or the police. In any event, he was trying to call someone because a serious emergency had occurred. "Let's have a look." "Yeah." "Mama, give it back. Give back my letter. It's an invitation to the Golden Land." They didn't know what, but something was happening. Battler and the rest chased after Cannon and Nanjo. And then we realized Cannon-kun had called Dr. Nanjo, but he hadn't called us. So, we shouldn't have gone with them. I wonder if Alice regretted her excess curiosity when she chased after that rabbit holding a clock. I did a part reading a little bit of Alice in Wonderland, and I gave my answer to the riddle, how is a raven like a writing desk? That being said, when you read that story, it becomes very clear that Alice was suffering heat stroke. Name a story in the comments that you think is good to read. I'll go first. Odysseus, though there is a 1995 movie with an actor named Armand Desante that's 3 hours long. So, I think it's a good movie. Then again, I also think Batman vs. Superman was a very good movie, as was the original Broly movie and Schindler's List. No, you mustn't go in. You mustn't look. Jessica Chan. No. Eek. No. I think in this circumstance, regardless of who you are in this story, and regardless of who it was who was trying to look, I think you are perfectly justified to grab the person and physically prevent them from entering, at least to the best of your ability. Courtesy be damned. Mother, father. What? What happened? Ooh. What the hell is this? This goes way beyond bad taste. Isn't taking someone's life bad enough? What the hell is this? Going to all the trouble after they died of sitting them on chairs, slicing their stomach opens, pulling their entrails out. Went to all the trouble of stuffing their stomachs full of sweets. Why the hell would you do something so fucked up? Damn it. Nice job, you bastard. Just great. Yarg. It would be best if everyone went outside. They certainly wouldn't want you all to see them like this. Nanjo told the children to go outside, but no one listened. Rosa-san, please tell them if they keep looking at something like this, it will do nothing but harm. Rosa does not give a fuck. Rosa regretted her own carelessness. She should have realized that the children would eventually come here. She should have quickly locked up instead of standing around stunned. So the children had come here. They had seen it. Surely at this very moment they were having a sight burned into their eyes. That was far more grotesque than the shocking meal Rosa had witnessed in her youth. While she hugged Maria, who seemed to be too shocked to show any emotion at this gruesome scene, Rosa cried for them and their parents. The four groaning and crying voices, their sadness, continued to echo in a place that should have known God's love. You piece of crap. Again, another one of these murders, and this time you made it all elaborate, killing them like it's a total joke. Cackle. I was rather hoping you'd thank me, not cry out in grief. Thank you? Did you say I should thank you, you old bitch? Damn it, if there's something wrong with your ears, I'll cut them both off so you can hear better. Why should I have to see that insane way of killing and say, oh, thank you very much, Beatrice-sama. I'll beat your brains out. In the last game, that is You lamented the fact that you couldn't see your parents' faces after they died, yes? So this time I left them. Didn't touch them. Take a good look, for without a doubt your father and the rest have been killed. Really? What a nice treat. I'm so fucking happy. I swore I'd plow your face after I choked the life out of you. But I'll take that back now. I'll rip out your guts instead. Don't give in to emotion. Don't stop thinking. My game has already begun, right? I decide to leave you neat and tidy corpses this time. Do you know why, when you denied my existence in the last game, you used this line of thinking? Their faces were crushed so the identity of the corpses can't be confirmed. Therefore, we can't eliminate the possibility that the fake corpses were prepared to create an alibi. Unless that possibility is denied, a human culprit theory can still be built. What'd you say? Cackle. So, Battler, is it okay to leave the examination of the corpses to Nanjo? Isn't it traditional in mystery novels for the doctor who performs such examinations to be an accomplice? Then don't leave the examination to him. Do it yourself. Make completely sure that without a doubt the 6 corpses are the 6 people they're supposed to be. That they really, really are dead, not just pretending. If you wish to confirm that your father and mother have been killed by having their stomachs cut open and their entrails pulled out, you'd better stick your hand inside their stomachs and feel around. Kya ha 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 ha. I won't cry. Damn it, I won't cry. Battler suddenly yelled. His tears were still dripping down, but as though scolding himself for being a sissy, he slapped his face hard several times with both hands. Even so, the tears still wouldn't stop. However, he felt a hot blaze in both his eyes. Whoever's responsible for this piece of work, I'll make them pay back their debt completely. So this isn't the time to cry. Gotta think about what to do. It's useless. It's all useless. You've got enough time to cry than think. This is no time to let yourself cry. Rather than genuine anger, maybe it was more of an evasive anger to blot out his sadness. However, it gave a little courage to George and Jessica, who had been crushed by the sadness. That's right. Even if we cry, it won't change the reality of what has happened. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. Then what should we do? What should I do for Mom and Dad's sake? Rosa-sama, I have returned. Goda-san, what happened with the police? What did they say to do? Did they say when they think they'll be able to get here? As to that, it seems the phones have broken down. I also tried the emergency wireless, but, maybe it's the weather? But that isn't working either. You guys say either or either. Does it even matter? What did you say? So we can't contact the police? It's that person. They did something to the phone line, made it so that we can't reach the cops. When she heard that the phones had broken down, Jessica immediately decided that it was the work of that mysterious guest. Her eyes were bright red after so much crying, and they began to grow even redder with rage. God, there's no reason. Need to talk about it, right? I understand everything, that's right, I get it. Who killed Dad and Mom? It's obviously her. It's gotta be that witch, or whatever who came yesterday. I mean, technically, you are right. I'll grab her by the collar. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. Damn it. Jessica-chan. Wait. Goda-san. Cannon-kun. Go. Yes, ma'am. Milady, wait. Covering her uncontrollable sadness with anger, Jessica ran outside, torn apart by emotion. Thinking about it hastily, maybe the mystery guest who'd arrived yesterday, Beatrice, was suspicious. However, that instant, there was absolutely no proof that she was the culprit. At this moment, she's just another guest, no more, no less. So Rosa, making an adult decision, was forced to stop Jessica in her rash rampage. Now, I agree with the decision to stop Jessica, but I disagree with the reasoning. Even foregoing the additional knowledge that Battler has, if we simply go by the knowledge that Jessica or any of the others have, it is only logical to assume that Beatrice is the one responsible. Even if you have not met this person directly, if all of a sudden there is a secret person all of a sudden in your private, extended family residence who refuses to introduce herself and seems to have untoward goals, and then people get murdered, well, any both sane and innocent person would then wind up, speaking directly to the others, and of course, having some sort of emotional response. Simply put is this: the fact that she didn't introduce herself yesterday at all to people, at least people that are still alive, excluding Rosa, of course, makes her seem the most likely suspect. In addition to that is this: if she fails to introduce herself now that there's been murders, regardless of how she does it, that basically confirms her guilt, or at least that she's been killed herself. So the only way she's not guilty in this situation is if we go looking for her and find her corpse. However, more than that is this: when we speak to her, it'd be one thing if we run into Beatrice and she at least pleads her innocence. Yes, it would seem like very likely that it would be lying, but at the very least, if she's at least pleading her innocence and her surprise and her condolences for our loss, then at the very least it would strongly ingratiate us to at least give her a fair shake of things. But unless because at this point is this: it is unfair to force someone accused of a crime to give evidence that they didn't commit the crime. But they need to at least make an effort. They need to at least speak on it. Obviously, guilty until proven innocent is a very immoral concept. But at the same time, if a person stands accused, they need to at least be able to discuss what it is. The fact that matters is this person's not introduced themselves. And at this point, I feel like the burden isn't on her to prove that she didn't murder them, but it's at least she has a burden to at least prove that she's at least not she needs to at least prove that there is a reasonable doubt. by at least introducing herself to others and voicing, hey, I'm sorry this happened and I wasn't involved. Now, is she still likely guilty? Yes, but at that point, you start looking at evidence, but obviously the first thing you do is question. I know I'm going a bit roundabout, but you guys get what I mean. That being said, not only is Beatrice responsible, but by all logic you would assume she's responsible. Now that being said, I would still say that it would be best to stop Jessica. Not because she's making a rash decision. That's not the problem. At least not the fact. They're like, oh, it's not fair to assume, accuse Beatrice. But I disagree with that part. But I agree with stopping Jessica. The reason I agree with Jessica is this. Even if we go by the knowledge that everyone else has, and keep in mind, Rosa has at least been apparently believing that Beatrice is a witch, so all the more reason to stop Jessica from attacking someone with supernatural magical powers. But even then, we're going that. Even if you believe Beatrice is just some random person, here's the thing. There's a lot of unknown variables, and you don't know what the person's like. You haven't even met them for the most part. The biggest thing is this. Even if you go with Beatrice is just some woman, well, she's obviously killed 6 people who were also adults, and many of which would have been physically stronger than her. So the question is she using poison? Does she have a gun? Does she have, other people here with her that are also hiding on this island, that are working for her and being paid for her as their paid bodyguards and hitmen? Because either she has weapons and skills to kill those other people, or she has other people helping her. So the reason to stop Jessica is that even if you're of the idea that Beatrice doesn't have any magic and is not a witch, it doesn't change the fact that she obviously has something that is very dangerous. And more than likely, if Jessica were to, regardless of Beatrice being innocent or guilty, Jessica is likely to get herself hurt. So we're not doing this out of respect for Beatrice, we're doing it to save Jessica, because we care about her. Goda and Cannon picked up on this immediately and chased after her. Would have been good if they had more cardio, they could have kept up with her. Could the guess that no one invited Beatrice be the culprit? I understand how Jessica feels. I wish I could think that too. It doesn't matter who. I want someone to be the culprit so I can bash them right in the face. But before that, we need a clear understanding of what's going on. Who is this Beatrice? I haven't even seen her face. Kihihihi. If you're looking for her face, it decorates the big portrait in the mansion. You still don't remember after looking at it for so long. Not the time, Maria. Not the time. Come on, Maria. What's so funny in a situation like this? Beatrice is a witch, and the ceremony to open the door to the Golden Land has finally begun. Those 6 people are sacrifices, and I'm being possessed. Come, let us begin the witches' banquet. Tonight is Halloween, so now the witches will gather to celebrate. Kihihihi. Maria, don't I always tell you not to laugh with that creepy voice? The crisp sound of Rose slapping Maria's cheek echoed through the high-ceilinged chapel. Ever since it started raining yesterday. No, ever since this island was swallowed by the typhoon, I felt as though something was wrong. It was bright and sunny when I arrived in Rakanjima, but since I'd gotten up early and was sleepy, I took a nap. When I woke up, it had already started raining, and ever since that time, suddenly a mysterious visitor calling herself the Golden Witch, Beatrice, arrived, and it felt like I was sinking in, bit by bit, into a bizarre world. What the heck happened while I was napping? Am I supposed to believe this island was sealed off? inside a different world where common sense doesn't apply. Who is this person called Beatrice? Is some unknown person trying to involve themselves with the inheritance problem, just like our parents were freaking out about at dinner last night? Or is the culprit this witch from the legend of the gold, just like Maria said? Even if we set Jessica's temper aside, given the circumstances, it's probably safe to say that the visitor person is the most suspicious, but we mustn't make up our minds based on that alone. It's useless, it's all useless. I smacked my face with both hands again, cooling off my brains before they overloaded, even though it might have been a wasted effort. This is one of Grandfather's envelopes. On a tray, piled up with sweets that decorated the table, George and Nikki found a Western envelope that had the Ushrumiya family crest done on it in gold leaf, and it was unopened, which means it's probably meant for us, right? If it was something Dad and the others read, it should be open. It seems your reasoning is correct. It's written right here. Someone wrote, "To those who remain." Is that a letter the culprit left? But what's inside? Aniki, let's open it. At this point, I consider that good circumstantial evidence that Beatrice is the one involved, since she is the only other person we've seen able to use those letters, and the culprit has left a letter. I mean, it's basically a fingerprint. After nodding silently, George and Nikki broke the seal. A folded letter came out. I'll read it. Welcome to Rockenjima, members of the Ushiromiya family. I am Beatrice. Okay, that's literally you're admitting guilt for this. This is it. At this point, it literally doesn't say any. It doesn't matter anything you say at this point. You have literally admitted guilt to, murdering 6 people in a very, desecration of the dead type way. The alchemist for this family employed by Kenzo-sama himself. That letter really was a joke. This Beatrice, who called herself the family alchemist. Oh. I'm just thinking about the anime Fullmetal Alchemist. Had announced that she was collecting the gold she'd lent Grandfather along with the interest, and that interest was everything Grandfather had created. Since this tragedy was right before our eyes as this paragraph was being read aloud, it clearly wasn't referring to the wealth that Grandfather had built up. It was literal. Everything that Grandfather had created. In other words, all of Grandfather's descendants were included in the interest. You bastard. You bastard. What a screwed up contract. Lives as interest for gold, you say. That's almost like a contract with the devil, isn't it? You think that makes you look more like a witch? Don't make me laugh. Special clause. However, if someone is able to discover the hidden gold of this contract, Beatrice must abandon these rights for all time. Kenzo-sama has already publicly displayed the location of the hidden gold with the epitaph under my portrait. In other words, it's something like this. If these murders represent her collecting interest, then she's telling us to try and find the gold she gave Grandfather if we want her to stop. And she's also saying that the secret pointing to the gold is hidden in the portrait epitaph. So basically this is a letter of challenge from the witch. She's telling us to try and solve the code that points to hidden gold if we can. And if we can't, well, she'll keep collecting the interest as planned. That's another thing. I feel that when they originally tried to solve the epitaph, they tried the Sweetfish River that runs through my hometown. And they're like, where was his hometown? But here's the thing. It's not Kenzo's epitaph. It's not Grandfather's epitaph. It's the witch's epitaph. It's Beatrice's epitaph. So the question is, what is Beatrice's hometown? I'll beat you to death. Bring it on. But Battler-kun, look. The table was covered with sweets, so even though those things were right out in the open, we just assumed they were sweets too. I mean, come on, you see them a lot, right? You know, those boxes of chocolate shaped like gold ingots. This is no box of candy, it's the real thing. This is a real gold bar. It's inscribed with the crest of the one-winged eagle. I heard Mother talking about this earlier. This is a gold bar from Grandfather's Legend of the Gold. Gold ingots weighing a full 10 kilograms. A whole 3 of them were piled up in the very center of the table. Was where a cake would be placed if it was a birthday party. In other words, this was without a doubt the birthday cake of the party known as the family conference. If these are really 4 9s quality ingots, gulp, it's worth about 60 million yen. Dumbass, that's too cheap. Our parents have been killed and all you got is this pile of 60 million yen in gold. Take us for fools, damn it. Kihi? So it has begun, Beatrice. It's not like anyone can solve the riddle anyway, so Beato will definitely win. Quickly, open the door to the Golden Land and take me with you. Kihihihihi. Milady, please calm yourself. We still don't know who the culprit is, and Beatrice-sama is an important and honored guest of the Masters. So what? If we grab her by the collar, she'll definitely confess. If I can just look her in the eye, I'll know. I mean, that's honestly true. I mean, usually you can tell by just talking to somebody. You at least get a feeling, I'm okay. I'm pretty sure, I mean, obviously you don't take actions based on that, but you can at least formulate an idea. And then take actions on the idea. I'll see through her. A witch, Beatrice, yeah, right. I'll expose her. Jessica never stopped moving. Goda and Kennen chased after her, doing their best to convince her to stop. But Jessica never lent them an ear. Eventually, the witch's VIP room came into view. This VIP room was always sealed and never used. No matter what kind of guest came, Kenzo wouldn't let them in there, and yet the servants were always made to clean this room so that it could be used at any time. So the servants started calling this room the witch's VIP room after their second, shapeless master. Jessica knew about this too, and she couldn't forgive the arrogance of the one who called herself a witch by staying in that room. The Golden Witch was just a fairy tale. Come on, a witch. To Jessica, she was nothing more or less than the murderer who would brutally killed her parents. Question her, hear her pitiful excuses, make her splutter in pain, gasp in anguish. No matter how hard she pretends to be a witch, I'll teach her that she's just a stinking, sweaty human. As Jessica yelled with all of her strength, she hit the door to the VIP room. It definitely wasn't a knock. The sound was the beating of her anger's hammer, as if she was determined to break the door down if it wasn't opened. Open up, Beatrice, come out. You hear me, right? Open up. There was no answer. Jessica grabbed the doorknob without any reservations, but she felt the resistance of the lock. She turned around to look at the two servants and spoke. The master key will unlock this, right? Use it. Milady? That would be horribly rude. Although Goda was flustered, he still tried to somehow calm Jessica's anger. After hanging his head silently for a while, Kennen pulled a master key from his jacket pocket. Kennen-san, are you sure? Yes, I'm fully aware it would be rude if she happens to be in there. At any rate, if Beatrice had nothing to do with that incident, all she has to do is give us a satisfying explanation. I agree with that. That's right, exactly. Let me borrow that. Jessica snatched the master key from Cannon's hand and violently shoved it into the keyhole. Immediately there was a small sound, and she felt the lock click. Then, without asking permission, she flung the door open. Beatrice, where are you? Come out. Jessica rudely stepped into the room. The witch wasn't anywhere to be seen. That bitch, she's not here. Where the hell did she go? Yes, she doesn't seem to be here. Jessica, thinking she might be hiding somewhere inside the room, peeked behind the curtains and under the bed, but she couldn't find anyone. However, there's definitely were signs that the bed had been used, and though it was only a vague sense, the atmosphere in the room felt a little soft. It wasn't the hard atmosphere of a place normally devoid of people like the chapel. You could definitely tell that someone had spent the night in this room, but she could not be seen. In reality, neither Jessica nor Goda had met Beatrice. They had only been told by those who had met her that she looked like a double of the character in the portrait, so they were doubtful of what her face really looked like. However, Cannon alone had met her. He understood what kind of being that witch was, what kind of personality she had, so he knew that forcing their way in here for search of her definitely wouldn't work out. She must be watching us bitterly flail about in vain from somewhere, sneering at us. She's that kind of person. Because he was looking at things that way, Cannon was the first to find it. The other two were concentrating on finding the shadow of a person, so they didn't notice. Near a water jug on the side of the table, there was a single sheet of letter paper. On it was a short message, and nearby was a fountain pen, which had probably been used to write it. Cannon had already come to understand the witch. After finding the corpses, they had been overcome by rage and barged in here, only to find no one. So, of course, the witch would mock them. You can't mock someone unless they know they're being mocked. So, in other words, that's what this must be. Milady, there's something written here. Something written? What? Jessica dashed over and violently snatched the piece of paper away. She probably wasn't trying to be violent. She just couldn't control her strength right now. What the? Don't fuck with me! As soon as she read the message, Jessica went into a wild rage, crumpled the paper up and threw it. Then she grabbed Anne? A light stand by the bedside and violently swung it around, mercilessly hitting the walls and the furniture with it. The light bulbs all shattered at once, and the fragments were scattered across the room. Milady, please calm down. You'll hurt yourself. Let go. Damn it. Come out, Beatrice. How could you do that to Mom and Dad? You think you scare me. I'll kill you. I'll beat you to death, so show yourself. I told you to let go of me, damn it. This was written on the paper. Did you think I'd be that senile to just sit around here waiting for you to come barging in? You're way too inelegant for this intellectual night. I can only imagine what the parents who raised you to be such a moron must have looked like. Oh right, I saw them. And they looked just as moronic as you. Now their bellies are full in the land of sweets. It was the sort of thing the witch would write. It meant she'd predicted that one of the children who'd lost their parents would come running in here. If she's hiding somewhere in this room, she must be rolling around laughing now. The witch was that kind of person. She sneered at people's misfortune, using it to stave off the boredom of 1,000 years. Hand it over. I'm telling you, you'll hurt yourself. I told you to let go. Damn it. Ow. Goda snatched away the light stand Jessica had been holding. After all, if she kept swinging around, she might end up smashing against something which could cause serious injury. To Goda's eyes, Jessica probably looked mad with rage, burning herself up with the flames of anger. But Cannon's eyes saw it differently. Those were probably tears of sadness hidden by rage. So, when the light stand was taken from Jessica, when she started crying on the floor, scratching at the carpet as though she was groveling, Goda was surprised, but Cannon was not. Of course. She had lost her means of crying by lashing out in rage. Ooh, wah. Dad, Mom, ooh, ah. Considering that she was the daughter of the Ushiromi head family, she was in a very shabby state. She scratched at the carpet with her fingernails, and even her feet were scratching. Jessica cried very, very hard, because if she didn't, her rage would start building up again and swallow her up. But over and over again, she remembered that humiliating message. I can only imagine what the parents who raised you to be such a moron must have looked like. Don't you call them morons. Both Dad and Mom were smart. Unlike me, they were really smart. Don't you call them morons. Take it back. Take it back. Oh right, I saw them, and they looked just as moronic as you. Now their bellies are full in the land of sweets. Ah, damn it. I'll kill her. I'll slice open her stomach and see how she likes it. Ooh-ah. Hic, cough, cough, asthma attack. As Jessica cried and screamed, she triggered an asthma attack. The servants, watching over her, hurriedly ran up to her and rubbed her back, but that only provoked Jessica's wrath. Cough, cough, the hell. If you've got the time to do that, search for that bastard. Find him and bring him here. If you won't go, I will. And I'll kill him with my own hands. I'll slice open her stomach. Okay, one, if you're going to do that, we need weapons. Two, you can't fight during an asthma attack, so we need to take care of that first. Cough, cough. We need like an inhaler and a shotgun. Don't touch me. Damn it, damn it. Cough, cough. Cough, cough. Jessica got up unsteadily, and as her asthma continued, she went out into the hallway and died. Milady, your medicine, quickly. I will call Dr. Nanjo, who is currently examining corpses of your parents. Goda-san, would you leave this to me? Cannon had noticed. Goda, who was vastly separated from her in age, probably couldn't sense the tears in Jessica's heart. Cannon, who had noticed, had to be the one to support her. Cannon-san, are you sure? I believe Milady needs some time to cry right now, considering that she saw her parents killed like that. That's understandable, but do you have her inhaler? She does need the med. I understand she needs time to cry, but she also needs time to breathe. You're right. Goda also understood, and he knew that Jessica and Cannon had shared a vague relationship with each other, so he understood everything and left it to Cannon. Very well. I will go back to Rosa-sama. Please, take care of Milady. Yes. Leave it to me. Cannon's voice was frail, but he nodded firmly. After looking at his eyes, Goda nodded firmly as well. Goda was a veteran with many years behind him. He'd seen a great number of people in his life, so he knew the vigorous sparkle that could be found in the eyes of those who possessed self-control. He had surely seen that in Cannon's eyes, so he would leave this to Cannon. When you think about it, maybe this was the first time Goda had ever trusted Cannon and relied on him for a job. Jessica, still suffering from her asthma, seemed to be heading towards her room, though she kept leaning against the wall. Cannon followed her wordlessly. If she had asked for a hand, he would have leapt forward and supported her, but until Jessica did ask for that, he chose to hide himself, watching over her from a distance where he could come to her rescue at any time. When people feel their hearts are about to explode from sadness and want to have someone by their side, you can bet 10 billion of them would want to turn around and find someone in the place Cannon now stood, as he watched over Jessica from behind. Then, finally, she doubled over in front of the door to her room. The asthma attack had stolen all her strength, and her thoughts had gotten hazy from the lack of oxygen, making it impossible to even stand up again. But right then, Jessica didn't think she wanted someone to lend a hand. She still hadn't been able to overcome the flames of anger. Even if someone offered her a hand with good intentions, Jessica would have wanted to tear it off right then. She knew how unfair that would be, so she definitely wouldn't ask for help until she overcame the fiery anger burning inside. Jessica had probably lost the willpower to even call for help. But Cannon heard it. He definitely heard it. Cannon definitely heard that voiceless call for help. One shared by miserable grievers the world round, an endless scream that no one ever seems to hear. Cannon quietly knelt by Jessica's side, wordlessly offered her a shoulder. Though Jessica kept coughing painfully, she accepted it, unlocked the door to her room, and entered. This way. I'll prepare your medicine right away. Cough. Dying noises. Jessica often said that when her asthma got serious enough, it hurt so bad that it felt like she'd vomit up her whole stomach. You think you should be carrying this around with you at all times. Her face was pale and her gaze wavered, and yet the coughing continued. Even so, her sadness was probably even stronger. After having her sit on the bed, Cannon took out a bronchodilator from a cute little basket on a nearby side table and handed it to her. Jessica sometimes forgot to take her medicine with her. Whenever this seemed to have happened, Cannon would take notice and secretly carry around the inhaler from the first aid kit in the server room, but he hadn't done so today. He scolded himself as though wondering how he could call himself furniture after failing to bring it with him on a day like this. Then he remembered the day when he'd used that word and somehow betrayed Jessica's feelings. It jarred Cannon's heart, but he felt it would be indiscreet to think about something like that, considering how Jessica felt now, and he locked it up inside the depths of his own heart. Ha, ha, ha. When she inhaled her medicine, Jessica's wild breathing calmed down bit by bit, and she was finally able to regain her composure. But she'd lost too much strength and willpower to get up from the bed. Are you all right, milady? I'm all right. I'm all messed up over Mom and Dad, but after I cry a bit more, I'll be all right. Cannon regretted his poor choice of words. Did he really say, are you all right to her? Was he really that clueless of a pain of the heart? I mean, here's the thing. Obviously, yes, she's in pain from a lot of things, but are you all right? It's really the best thing you can ask. I mean, she's like, yeah, I'm not all right, but it's a way to, open the door for her to feel more comfortable to talk about it when she's ready. This was what made him furniture. This was why he couldn't become human. I will be in the corridor. If you need anything, please call me immediately. Cannon understood that she still needed some time to cry alone. He told her to call him any time, bowed, and tried to leave the room. Do you need something? Jessica had spoken up as though she wanted him to stop, so Cannon had stopped. If she asks it, I'll do anything I can to help her. Right now, I'd become even a cane or a chair if it would help ease the pain in her heart. If by doing that I could make up for the pain I dealt to her heart that day. For a while, Jessica stared into Cannon's eyes. It was as though her reason for stopping him was something she couldn't put into words. Did her eyes change color slightly? For a while, neither spoke. Jessica broke that silence. With a small voice. I'm sorry. It's nothing. Could you tell Aunt Rosa that I want to be alone for a while? I won't let you be alone. Huh? I won't let you be alone. So I will be in the corridor. Please call for me at any time. For just an instant, it looked like some kind of hope had flitted into Jessica's eyes, but it was very faint and disappeared like the first snow on the surface of a river. Thanks. Let me cry alone for just a bit. Yes. Excuse me. Cannon bowed once again and closed the door. He'd thought those words of his would give her some courage, but now it felt as though they'd actually hurt her for some reason. Why? He didn't know. Sure, that was because he was furniture. That was why he couldn't grasp human sadness even now. As Cannon repeatedly questioned himself, he walked down the corridor. He felt like the window at the corridor's end was coolly calling to him. In the end, am I nothing more than furniture after all? It was still pouring outside, a dark gray world. Even on days like this, Shannon would surely see the ocean and know that it was blue. But to my eyes, even if it cleared up, I would only see gray. Till I can understand the blue of the ocean, I'll be nothing but furniture imitating a person. You really don't understand a woman's heart, do you? At times like that, you ought to silently remain by her side. Cackle, that's why you're furniture. Yet you, there shouldn't have been any trace of human life in this corridor. It had been an empty corridor filled with frigid air, but those scoffing words approached Cannon from behind. When he turned around, he saw that witch who hadn't shown herself when Jessica had searched for her with rage, bordering on madness, and who had left that sneering letter to toy with Jessica. There are 3 ways to hurt a woman. Let me teach you them. One is to hurt them with a blade. Another is to hurt them in their heart. The last way is the most difficult and most effective method of hurting them, and yet it can hurt them without you even realizing it. Do you know what I mean? How could I know? I don't even want to know. It's to betray their expectations. No living being is more of a dreamer than a woman. They make up dreams all on their own and end up hurting their own selves. A distant man like you hurts women the most. You couldn't understand. You have no idea how deeply you've wounded Jessica. After all, you're furniture. I have no intention of playing along with your nonsense. Did you appear only to sneer at me? Don't be so full of yourself, furniture. You aren't worth sneering at. Still, though you may not be worth my time on your own, if the 2 of you are gathered, that's all I need. The pleasure that comes from laughing at the fates of young couples never tires me. What did you say? You don't mean Milady is going to be... I need 2 who are close for the sacrifices of the second twilight. I mean, as much as that would still fucking suck for me and Jessica. Beatrice? I don't think me and Jessica count. Because after all, if I really was close to her, wouldn't I at least be in there, with her? Instead of, standing in the corridor? So I don't think I qualify, and I don't think she does either for this sacrifice. The 2 of you truly are convenient. But wait. Don't misunderstand. Milady and I don't have that kind of relationship. We can't become the sacrifices for the second twilight. Laughter noises. Ha ha ha. That's why you hurt Jessica. That's why you cannot become human. Then there should be no problem. If you won't admit you have feelings for Jessica, I can accept that. But I will kill her. Why? You idiot. Isn't it obvious? It'll be fun to kill her and see your face twist in pain. Why else? Beatrice, not really a very nice person. By the way, Beatrice, you may have magical witch powers and stuff, but you're not allowed to actually kill people like that. Why do you have vampire fangs in this version? I mean, technically, according to your rules, you're not allowed to kill her right now. At least not like that. You have to follow your rules. I mean, that'd be fucked up and unfair to everyone else, but you still have to follow them. Following the rules of the ceremony, 13 will be sacrificed on my whims. However, there's no rule that says I can't kill more. No, I feel it still counted. I mean, if we're technically going with that, then if you're saying you're allowed to kill more, then technically it also means based on your whims, you could choose to not kill anyone. You know, by that account, you could just choose to not murder anyone. You're not required to do this shit either. If it amuses me, I can kill any number of people. Doesn't seem very moral. So, I will. Make me laugh as hard as I can, Cannon the furniture. The time Cannon definitely heard Jessica scream. When he blinked and looked down the corridor, the witch, who'd supposedly been there so nonchalantly just a second ago, was gone. At that moment, when he was standing there all alone in the corridor doing nothing, and the person he wanted to protect was asking for help from far away in that direction, it was obvious what he should do. It wasn't logical, it was an electric reflex. Without a trace of hesitation or distraction, there was a person he wanted to protect, and she was asking for help, and at that moment, he generally wanted the person by her side to be him. When he flew into Jessica's room, the scene that greeted his eyes was a bizarre one. The room had become a fantastical world where a bizarre blizzard of gold-colored specks danced, almost as though gold leaf had been scattered inside a snow globe. No, that's not it. I've seen this spectacle before. This isn't gold leaf. It's countless golden butterflies, Beatrice's minions. They then fly into her lungs. Jessica was surrounded by countless butterflies that gnawed the flesh from her bones, waving her hands around, trying frantically to drive them away. "Milady! Cannon-kun, help! Cough, cough, cough!" Cannon rushed toward Jessica and violently brushed the cloud of butterflies away that were forcing their way down her throat. The butterflies, which were sickening, despite their beauty, surrounded Jessica's face, trying to crawl in through her mouth, and I was just... Okay. Jessica choked violently, almost as though the butterflies were taking an asthma attack, mocking her. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty sure we'd all have an asthma attack, even if we don't have asthma. I stopped having asthma. Or I'm just fairly good at ignoring it. But when Cannon ran towards her, the butterflies stopped attacking and began to dance an elegant rondo around the pair. Cannon-kun, Cannon-kun. It's okay. While there's still life in me, I won't let anyone lay a finger on you. Come out, Beatrice. Are you happy now? As he stood guard in front of Jessica, who was using her inhaler, and seemed to be pain, Cannon yelled into the empty air. And when he did, the empty air did indeed laugh back, satisfied. Then she showed herself. It wasn't in response to Cannon's demand. It was obviously because appearing and sneering would bring them even more humiliation, and plus it was more fun. Ha. Now everything fits into the plot. Now you're carp on the chopping board. No, since we've got a pair of you, should I call it the duck with green onions? Ha ha ha. You, Beatrice, please stand back. I'll protect you, my lady. When the princess and knight come together, it's inevitable the witch will appear. Yes, why don't you show me how much power Kinzo's furniture can muster? She snapped her fingers with a piercing sound. When she did, a blizzard of gold butterflies was stirred up, and they began to form a small mountain as they whirled around in a circle. It was just like the swirling of a cloud, wintry wind that builds up a mountain of leaves. From that mound of gold a hand sprouted, and it appeared as though a resident of the world below was crawling up from beneath the ground. Oh, what is this? What the hell is this? Jessica couldn't comprehend what she was seeing right now, and her mouth kept flapping open and closed. It was the bite of wisdom seen in those trying to understand something incomprehensible. Oh, that's a thing. That's certainly an unexpected thing. Why does it have the crest? That thing crawling up was probably an attendant who served the witch. Why is it the cat in the hat? It appeared to be wearing a uniform suitable for one who served, but its face was wrong. It looked strange. It was covered with pitch-black hair, breathed rotten breath, and its eyes were filled with the same strange subterranean glow as lava. And to symbolize its non-human status, it had 2 horns. It was the figure of a goat-faced attendant who served the witch. By now, Jessica had no idea what she should say. Yeah, I'm not really sure what you would say in that situation anyway. All this was happening in front of her. Couldn't be explained with common sense, and she couldn't do anything except open and close her mouth. Jessica hadn't realized. She hadn't realized that this island had already been cut off from the rules of our world. But there were some things even she could understand. This goat attendant served the witch and was after her life. And apparently the witch had already given it the order. She was looking at Ken with an expectant gaze. She looked at him with an expectant and therefore challenging gaze, as though asking him how he intended to protect this maiden. Honestly, we might have to throw Jessica out the window and then buy time by getting ourselves ripped to shreds by the goat man. Though the attendant had looked especially bestial while crawling to its feet, you could see in the way it carried itself that it possessed more than enough grace to be worthy of serving the Golden Witch, and you could tell that it was overflowing with the joy of furniture wanting to meet its master's expectations. Well then, why don't you show me? Let's see the power of Kinzo's furniture. This time, don't get the wrong idea, okay? Don't forget that you're furniture. Got it? If you try to continue playing the human even now, this won't be settled by your death alone. The goat attendant made what seemed to be a silent, respectful bow. Was it directed at its master, or was it offered to Cannon, its opponent? Then on the attendant's hand, a blade of wicked malice appeared. Well, it's not fair at all. Why do you have DBZ powers? I can't shoot a Kamehameha. Okay, Cannon, here's the plan. Use the Big Bang attack. Channel your inner Vegeta. I mean, you're both the same height. What the hell is that? Jessica had been unable to understand what was happening before her eyes for a while now. All she understood was that this glow in front of her existed for the purpose of ending her life, and right now that was enough. Cannon spoke quietly to Jessica, who was hiding behind his back. "Milady, please stay back against the wall. Never let your back leave the wall." What? It's only right for the maiden to obediently hide behind the great knight's back. I do hope you enjoy the pleasure of having your life protected by a man. Now, Cannon, let's have a look at your blade. Do I have a blade? Am I just going to throw the asthma inhaler at him? Can I? Oh, he actually has an actual blade. Yay! Jedi powers activated. Beautiful. At least when it comes to giving birth to furniture, Kinzo might even reach up as far as my feet. A thing like this can't even be used to trim the roses. Cannon-kun? What's? I didn't want to show you. So you've taken it out. How does it feel to expose your subhumanity in front of the girl you care for? Be silent. Why did you use a hatchet last time? So you act composed even though you're really burning with wrath. Yes, they do say that truly hot flames burn a cool blue. Is that how you are now? There's no way I can kill you with my power. You are the moon. I could never smash the moon by throwing a rock. However, in order to manifest yourself, you've had to reflect your image off the surface of the water. If you throw a rock at the surface of the water, you might be able to disturb the moon's image for some time. But that doesn't mean the moon has been smashed. So, until this life of mine is over, I'll keep on striking your reflection. I like it, Cannon. Begin, furniture. This is when you imagine an epic battle. Oh, what a beautiful curve. The witch's words of admiration broke the silence, and for just an instant they broke Jessica's paralysis. Am I dreaming? Come, furniture of the witch. I'll beat you down to the hell you came from. Not very, talkative. A strand of red had been left on Cannon's cheek. The witch saw this and grinned broadly. Feel free to mutter excuses about how your instincts still haven't returned quite yet. Cannon, stay strong. It's okay. I won't die just yet. Oh, that's not good at all. Did we also get a blow it? Nope. The curve drawn by the goat attendant's blade drew a large arc in empty space. Cannon wasn't there. He was behind it. Go back and await your masters. Yeah, we use the afterimage technique. Goku would be proud. Die. In this battle of drawing sparkling curves was chess. Then Cannon coming from behind was check. And press, and press, and press, and press. Use 7 moves and make it mate. Perhaps the goat attendant hadn't even been granted the ability to go into death throes. As its knees buckled and it fell over, it broke into a bunch of butterflies with a pop. So there was no sound of it hitting the ground. Even those unable to understand this battle would surely realize that Cannon had been magnificent. It's magnificent. Humph, so it couldn't win against a handmade piece. It seems you aren't quite that pathetic. You're next, Beatrice. The instant Cannon's blade sliced diagonally through the witch's form like a knife through butter, she turned gold and burst. She scattered into several thousand gold butterflies, and for just an instant, the room was filled with the color of twilight. It was just as though, as Cannon himself had said, slicing Beatrice was just the same as slicing the surface of the water where the moon was reflected. The witch's form, with an ordinary expression on its face, as though she had been there the whole time, was right behind Cannon. Ha! You've provided quite an entertaining show. Out of respect for that, I thought about letting you off the hook, but your rudeness now has made me change my mind. Don't lie. Yeah, again, you're just gaslighting and manipulative. You're not a very nice person, Beatrice. You were going to kill people anyway, and also you've been trying to kill people. You can't threaten people with reality. Like, oh, I'm going to do this or I'll do this thing, but you're already doing the thing you're threatening to punish the person with. You can't threaten to punish somebody with something that you're already doing. And even then, if he hadn't, been, air quotes, rude to you, you would have called him boring for that. Which means literally regardless of anything you could ever say or do, you'll just find fault in that. Meaning, there really is no fault in any of the actions he's doing. You just are a bitch. And you just want to be able to, just be mean. Regardless of what it is. You just want an excuse to be mean. I won't let you kill my lady. Even if that's impossible, I won't let you kill her while I was still alive. While I still live. You can't even do that much. Do not speak, furniture. Be silent, furniture. Know your place, furniture. Cannon-kun isn't furniture. Ho? And what makes you think that? I don't need a reason. Cannon-kun is Cannon-kun. No, his real name's different, but a name doesn't make him furniture. Cannon-kun has his own way of living. That's a noble thing, and it's something he gets to decide for himself. You say he can't have an opinion because he's furniture, that he can't live his own life because he's furniture. That's wrong. Milady, you mustn't provoke her. No, I've got to make this clear. Cannon-kun isn't furniture. He's human. Why? Cannon-kun rushed to save me of his own free will, and he stood in the path of a fearsome witch like you. He had so many chances to just let me go, but he didn't. Self-sacrifice is part of the noble spirit that only humans have. That means Cannon-kun's human. So take it back. Don't you call Cannon-kun furniture again. Milady? Humph. Cackle. Waha. Be silent, human. Let's end this quickly, since this is still just the second twilight after all. Now I shall sacrifice the two who are close, who have acknowledged each other's dignity. Well then, arise. Forgive the sin, one of the 7 stakes of purgatory, lust. The witch summoned her furniture, with a mixture of laughter and anger on her face. Asmodeus of lust. To be honest, staring right at her vagina. Why does her face look like Chibi Doki? The VTuber. And that distraction lasted for a second before I went back to staring at her vagina. So. And everyone's like, but you don't have to say that to all of us. I know. But I don't care. Again, why do you have like vampire fangs? Right here. I've had enough of this farce. Quickly execute the second twilight. Don't keep me waiting, got it? As you command. Another weirdo has shown up. It took Cannon less than an instant to understand. That go-faced from a second ago had been nothing more than a pawn to the witch. However, this newly summoned furniture was a game piece with a vastly different value. Basically, we beat a pawn, but now we're fighting a bishop. Wow, I must be lucky to be given such wonderful prey. Giggle, you scared? How cute. How cute. Giggles. Giggle, giggle. Come, furniture of the witch. I won't be killed by you. Giggle. You're acting pretty smart for a dunce who can't even follow me with his eyes. Here I go, Kay. Hey, where do you want it? Where do you want me to pierce you? Answer me, cutie. I'll pierce you good wherever you want. Giggle. Come on, answer me, cutie. Don't call me cutie. Kya. Here I go, you dunce. Come on, try and follow me, you blind idiot. Kya. It's not fair. You have instant transmission. Why is Asmodeus have training on planet Yardrat, m'lady? Well, that's not good at all. I couldn't follow it with my eyes. But my guess was spot on. Serves you right. Cannon's back had been the target, but Jessica had predicted it. She'd predicted the witch's target would be the complete opposite of fair and honest, his back, but she had no way to block it. She hadn't planned on it being some sort of act of self-sacrifice. She just couldn't think of any other way to protect Cannon's back, so she could do nothing but block it with her own back. The furniture of the witch, which had changed its form into a demon's stake, was buried deep into Jessica's back. It was an obviously fatal wound that reached as far as her lungs. When she saw this, the witch let out a loud, evil laugh because it had hit where the witch had predicted. Everything was as the witch had predicted. What's wrong, Cannon? My lady Jessica just got killed while you still lived, didn't she? Yes, that's it. That's the face. That's the look on your face that I wanted to see. Hee. How truly enjoyable. That's enough. Die. Make me laugh. Come, arise, forgive the sin. One of the 7 stakes of purgatory. Wrath. Satan of wrath. This prey is yours. Eat him up right now and close the curtain on this stage. If you were human, I'd say it's time for you to step down, but since you're furniture, maybe I should say it's time for the stage manager to carry you behind the stage. I am not furniture anymore. I won't doubt that again. Giggle. Oh, what's this? You want to be killed by me again? Your chest, it's so warm, and it feels so good to pierce it. Come on, let me have another taste, okay? Won't you make me feel really good with that hot, fresh blood in that warm chest of yours? Kia. Okay, does that mean you remember killing him in the previous timeline? There was no way to block it. The sound of the woodpecker filled the entire room, and before he could blink, it was already right in the center of his chest. When you take a piece in the chest, the rules say that it's impossible for your opponent piece to defend it. So this was obvious result in accordance with the rules. Cannon landed on his knees, and he apologized, not to the witch, and not to my lady. He apologized to Jessica. I'm sorry. I couldn't protect you. Don't worry about it. You were really cool. Cannon finally fell over. He landed next to Jessica, and the two lay there like the constellation Gemini. You know, Cannon-kun, you aren't furniture anymore. Yes, I was too late. In realizing that, I wanted to ask you what your real name was. My real name is... In his last moment, Cannon wanted to tell her his real name, but Jessica had already fallen into a sleep from which she would never wake. So Cannon's real name, which he had protected until today, in the end, he couldn't tell it to Jessica. I became human. Those were the last words Cannon left behind. Waha. Don't make me laugh, furniture. Even after 100 years, furniture will still be furniture. Have you ever heard of anyone stupid enough to dig a grave for their furniture? When they throw it away, you smash furniture to pieces and make firewood, so that's all that's left is ashes. That's how it is. Furniture gets no tombstone. It seems you believe death means an end to your humiliation, but that's naive. I'll show you what it really means to disgrace the dead. Cackle, cackle. After taking a puff from her pipe, the witch breathed the smoke at Cannon's corpse. When she did, Cannon's corpse softly floated up into the air and disappeared as though it had been eaten by a moth in empty space. The witch played dirty until the very end. The corpses of the pair who managed to understand it to the end were not even permitted to be close. If someone had been watching, they would probably say mournfully, "So this is what you meant by disgracing the dead." However, Beatrice was far crueler than that. The reason for that would soon become apparent. People will probably start to assume that Cannon murdered Jessica and stuff like that, but I kind of spaced out there for a second. Did the clock go backwards? I see. So it has begun. Yes. Even though Kenzo had received news of 6 deaths, his emotions did not waver. The expression on his face as he gazed out the window was a smile, as though his opponent in a chess game had made a spectacular move. It was hard to imagine such an expression could ever appear in a father who had lost so many children all at once. Goda and Cannon followed Rosa-sama's orders and went to call the police. After that, she offered us to follow your orders. Master, what shall we do? This island has already been cut off from the real world. Mere phones will serve no purpose. Should I have them stop? Until the roulette is finished, what they do to pass the time is up to them. Let them do as they please. Yes, sir. What should we tell Rosa-sama? Didn't I say they should pass the time as they pleased? They can sing if they want, dance if they want. They're even free to hang themselves by the neck or jump into a boiling kettle until 13 people die. They can spend their time as they like. If that's too boring, they can wonder about whether 6 times 9 equals 42 or something. That's the answer to the mystery of humanity in the universe. Are you making a reference to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Yes. My apologies. Shannon cowered in fright at this sudden rage. Genji made a gesture as though telling her not to speak out of turn. Shannon couldn't help but regret saying too much. However, you two are also free to do as you wish. Genji, and Shannon too. You have done well serving me until today. Your words are too good for me. But, we are furniture who have sworn to serve the master. We stand ready to serve you no matter the time, until the very end. I want to tell you about everything. Shannon, I am going to write a will. I shall need you to transcribe it for me. Please, Genji, my usual drink. Huh? Yes, sir. Nanjo often recommended that Kenzo write a will because of his health, but each time he had, Kenzo had gone mad with rage. Ever since then, you'd think a will would have been the word Kenzo hated most. After hearing such a word come from his lips, Shannon couldn't help doubting her ears for an instant. Shannon hurriedly prepared the side table and some writing paper. Genji followed his orders and began preparing the usual green evil drink. I'm ready? Where should I begin? Shall I also speak of my life? It would be fun to leave behind a record of my most memorable games. It can be truly amusing to read the records of old games from centuries past, to journey and search for those players' thoughts. So should the game record of my life lead those in the future to go on a journey in search of my thoughts? For a while, Kenzo pondered over what he should begin, strutting all over the room with his hands behind his back. Master? Here. Ah, yes. Thank you, my friend. Well then, if I am to speak of my life, I must begin by writing of my meeting with that witch. Shannon, begin writing. My first meeting with Beatrice took place a long way back. What year of the Showa era was it? It must have been at the end of the war, so... We took enough time to regain our calm, and we each swore to our parents that we'd catch the culprit. It would be a lie to say we weren't still torn up. Even now, if we let our guards down just a little, we'd probably start going on a rampage just like Jessica, letting our emotions show was some kind of violence. According to what Gona said after he got back, Cancun was looking after Jessica. Apparently she was still very emotionally high-strung. I see. Thank you. Maybe a young kid would be better at understanding a young kid's feelings. It would probably be better if we left them alone for now. Rosa-san, there is nothing more to be gained by remaining here. The phones may not be working, but tomorrow the boat will come, and we should be able to reach the police. We should leave this place as it is for the police's investigation. I agree with Dr. Donjo. Staying in a place like this for too long would be bad for your health. Let us return and make black tea. Yeah, I agree with that. Battler-kun, George-kun, are you ready? Let's lock up here. We ought to leave this place as it is anyway for when the police come. You're right. Battler-kun, are you okay? Yeah, I've cried all I can. I'm fine now. The police would surely find some evidence during their thorough investigation, but we weren't adult enough to wait for that. I'd investigated the chapel in my own way, trying to grab the culprit before the police arrived, and what I figured out was absolutely nothing. Frustratingly, I wasn't able to find a single hint. Come on, let's go out. Maria, we're going. Don't keep staring at it. Ooh? Come, Maria-sama. Let us return. It's cold here. Father, Mother, thank you for everything. I will definitely become a man who doesn't betray your expectations. George spoke his last words of farewell to his parents. After seeing that, Battler followed suit. Dad, Kairi-san, just looking at their faces, it looked like they were sleeping, but that just made it even more painful. Forgive me for leaving you in a cold place like this. I'll definitely get whoever did this, no matter what. What is this? What a repulsive scribble. Did the culprit draw it? This is worse than vulgar. How horrible. When the door to the chapel was closed, we learned about the creepy scribble for the first time. When we first found it, it was already drawn here. It must have been made by the culprit. So supposing the culprit was a witch, and this is a magic circle to summon a demon or something. This is the 7th magic circle of the sun. Don't you even know that? Ouch! Hey, don't I always tell you not to make that creepy laugh? Maria, go on. What does it mean? It's a magic circle to escape from physical or mental bonds, and the part written around the circumference says, "The Lord has freed me from my chains. I will offer you the sacrifice of thanksgiving, and will call on the name of the Lord in Hebrew." Sacrifice of thanksgiving. So they killed Father and the rest used them as human sacrifices for this magic circle. Calm down, George-kun. This is the culprit trying to provoke us. I'm sure it doesn't mean anything. Thinking about it will only poison the heart. And it looks like there's some English written here. Happy Halloween for Maria. I get it. And the key to open the door was handed over to Maria. Is that what's going on? Well, this is the chapel after all. Maybe Maria doesn't mean Maria Chan, but the Virgin Mary. In that case, you could read this as blasphemy against God in the name of Halloween. They say witches who make contracts with demons swear to defile God's name at all times. In that sense, this really is a witch-like crime. Sounds like you know a lot about it. Did you get that from Maria? Yeah, something like that. The chapel, huh? They went to a lot of trouble calling them out here and killing them. Aunt Rosa, does this chapel have some special meaning? What do you mean, a special meaning? Well, someone carried 6 human corpses all the way over here and set up these elaborate decorations. We can't tell if she called the 6 of them over here before killing them, or if she killed them before carrying them over here. But either way, it'd take a lot of effort. Why did the culprit want 6 people to die here? True. By doing something that elaborate, there would be an extremely high chance of some disadvantageous evidence being found when the police arrived. It is inconceivable that the culprit would fail to realize this. The issue now is why the culprit went to all the effort. And that leaves us just one question. What meaning is there to this place where we found the 6 corpses? This chapel was important to Father, Ever since I was a kid, I was given strict instructions never to enter it. Ooh, I came here once too. Got in lots of trouble. Ooh. An important chapel. Does it have some connection to Ushiromi head family? I don't know. Father viewed this chapel as very sacred, and he treasured it so much that he had it redecorated several times. But as everyone knows, Father wasn't a devout believer, as his passion for black magic demonstrates. I've never heard of him coming here to offer his prayers to God. As far as I know, the master has never come here. When we call this the sealed chapel, and I found it eerie like a haunted house. Even though Father even never approached it himself. For some reason, he made the servants give it a major cleaning several times a year. It felt like he kept it clean all the time so that he could be used any moment. And even so, it's called the sealed chapel. Maybe it's indiscreet to say this, but doesn't that sound pretty cool? Dr. Najo, you're an old friend of Grandfather's, right? Have you ever heard anything about it? I did ask about it once, long ago, but I forget exactly how he dodged my question. That's right, I believe he said something like, someday perhaps I too will be able to receive a blessing there. But unless a miracle occurs, that day will never come. What does that mean? What would he do in a chapel? He couldn't meet his own funeral, right? I wouldn't believe that of Kinzo. He was a man much more focused on living now than matters occurring after death. Though this does seem to be a root cause of the current inheritance problem. Then what would he do in a chapel? Pray? Aren't confessions done in a chapel too? Anyway, it sounds suspicious. I don't know the reason, but just as Dr. Najo said, in Grandfather's eyes, all this about not being blessed, and unless a miracle occurs, was set up in stone as far as his chapel's construction. How do you know that? See, it's clearly written over there. Look, right there. George Niki pointed to a relief with rusted gold letters on the arch above the door. It looked like some message had been written there in English. The rust had made it clear that the message had been there ever since the chapel's construction. I'm not that good with English. What is it? This door? Opened only at the probability of... Sorry, my English sucks. I gave up after failing to finish even the first of the 2 lines. It looked like the others could read it properly. I think it went MBTQ, so, how many did that mean? Anyway, this is incredible. Adding up all the fingers on both hands doesn't even get you close. It really would be impossible unless a miracle occurred. Certainly. It's quite reminiscent of the old Kinzo-san who loved using gambling as a metaphor whenever he got the chance. Hey, come on, can everyone read it? Someone tell me what it means too. Kihi, you've got to at least learn English. How did you get into high school without being able to read this much? Ouch. Ouch, 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 ouch. Mind your own business. So what's written there? Simply put, it means something like this. Unless a miracle occurs, this door will never be opened. Unless a miracle occurs, you will never be blessed. Grandfather's magic is based on astronomically low probabilities. In other words, a miracle for opening this door would probably require an incredibly vast amount of magical power. Ouch. Nice job. You can shut up now. Rosa-san, did you have Maria take English classes? Looks like it's useless to try and learn English unless you start when you're young after all. The sealed chapel, huh? Setting aside whether she was a witch or not, it's rumored that Beatrice actually existed several decades ago and was Grandfather's mistress. This is, just my imagination, but perhaps the master truly did love Beatrice-sama. However, he was already married, so they couldn't be united. I see. If Beatrice was dead and could be revived with the magic of the miracle, then now that grandmother's dead, he could marry her openly. And if they married in this chapel, you might end up with a pretty fairy tale-like story, right? I don't think that story is so preposterous. It's a well-known fact that Father still loves Beatrice deeply. Also, even though I said I found it creepy, I seem to remember that the interior of the chapel was quite magnificent. Though the thought that the Father built this chapel in the hopes of having a wedding with his dead mistress might not be that unlikely. By the time he built this chapel, Grandfather probably knew that he would never use it as a church as long as he lived. But he prayed for the witch to be revived by some miracle, and he thought that if the miracle occurred that they could be married here. I see. If you think of it that way, this would be a place of utmost significance to Beatrice Sama as well, even though he knew the chapel would never be opened. It's a story of tragic love. Even though Goda-san was even bigger than me, his words were touching. Everyone was silent, but it seemed that they agreed with that view. Even though he knew it was a chapel never to be opened, he still probably dreamed of the day that a miracle would occur. Kinzo-san was quite the romantic in his younger days. I think I understand how he felt. I wonder. Then again, everyone went in 4 times a year to clean, right? So much for being the sealed chapel. Didn't we just go in ourselves? That wasn't a miracle or anything. We brought the key, click, and we're in. That's all. This is ridiculous. Huh? What? Then, what does that mean? What are you talking about? As far as I could tell, I'd just been joking around, finding myself a bit irritated by the sob story this was turning into. But then Aunt Rosa suddenly jumped on me with a really serious face. I'm so confused. Aunt Rosa's face grew increasingly pale. But why, though? She looked at the magic circle on the door and then at her hand, back and forth, back and forth. What is the matter, Rosa-sama? Hey, Goda-san? The key to this chapel? Didn't Genji-san say it? He said there was only one. Huh? It took you all way too long to figure it out. When a kid pulls a prank, it sometimes goes unnoticed by the adults, and the kid who did it gets all disappointed. If such a prank then gets sprung on someone much later, it can really make a kid's day. Maria's celebration just now looked a lot like that. Yes, that's right. There's only one of those keys. It's the key to the Master's Treasure Chapel, so there's only one, with no duplicates. It is normally kept safe in the key box and the servant room, but... That's right, and Genji-san said it had gone missing. So someone stole it, put it in an envelope, and handed it to Maria, and they did it yesterday. What the? So in other words, isn't that strange? That's absurd. This is getting bizarre. What do you mean? I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Me neither. Neither or neither? Would you explain it for us? Goda and Nanjo's failure to understand definitely wasn't because they were stupid. They didn't know. They didn't know how long the only key to the chapel had been in Maria's possession. There's no mistake. It was locked up. I unlocked it. There's no doubt. Aunt Rosa kept closing the door, locking it, pulling on it, to check the lock and opening it up again. Her face was becoming pale again. Until I took the key out of Maria's envelope and opened this door, it was definitely locked. But this key was in an envelope placed in Maria's care. And that happened yesterday before noon. What did you say? But that doesn't make any sense. You're right. Maria received a one-of-a-kind key from the woman calling herself a witch midday yesterday. Yes, but here's the thing. Maybe the letter she gave Maria didn't have a key in it. Beatrice had the key. And then she at some point switched the envelopes. In other words, from midday yesterday until this morning, when Rosa-san unlocked the door of this chapel, was a closed room. How did they get those 6 people in there? And then, how did they kill them? The deaths of the 6 people had shaken us badly. When we learned about the weird magic circles and the history of the chapel, we felt as though we'd figured out the last piece of the puzzle, but that was absolutely trivial. From midday yesterday until this morning, this chapel was a closed room. But our parents were with us until last night. How did the culprit get into this building? And how did they lock it up again? Also, remember, Maria, that not only was Beatrice in there, but Rosa was inside the chapel with all these other people. Unless she's just forgotten. I feel very tired. Oh, later.